Hello everybody, today we're going to be showing you how to sound deaden and insulate the cab of your camper van using the cab upgrade kit from the Combe Valley Campers website, and we are going to be fitting it to Project 2K T5. Just want to say thank you to A-Plan Modified Van Insurance for sponsoring this series of Combe Valley Campers. We actually have the 2K T5 insured with A-Plan Modified Van Insurance because they will insure your vehicle from the moment you buy it until you convert it to a camper van and beyond. And if you would like a special rate for your next policy, mention Combe Valley Campers at the time you're asking for a quote and they will sort you out. So the van we are working on today is the 2K T5, and if this is your first time to the channel, you can check down in the link or in the description below the links to the playlist for this van. Basically, it was the most disgusting van I've personally ever worked on, and it just happens to be ours. So we've actually stripped out all the cab, cleaned it, steam cleaned it, and this is the result. And it's the perfect time to actually sound deaden and insulate the cab. And what I'm going to do now is show you the products we're going to use. Why would I sound deaden the cab then? Or why would you sound deaden the cab of any vehicle, in particular a van? Well, primarily they were designed as a commercial vehicle. No frills, big box on wheels so you can carry your cargo or your load from A to B. We are trying to make this more comfortable because we're going to be lots of miles travelling with either yourselves or with your family, and so you're just trying to make it a nicer place to be. Using a product such as the Hex Mat across the entire floor not only keeps mechanical noise down but vibration down as well, so that's road noise and mechanical from the engine. There are arguments for and against complete coverage, but if you can imagine this as, well, if you can imagine what we're doing now is actually laying a blanket over the area, and you don't want to just lay a blanket over a little bit because the rest of the floor can vibrate. So if I put a piece here, yes, that'll do some sound deadening. And if I put a bit here, that will increase the sound deadening further. But because we have the engine, the drivetrain, and the road noise, we want to cover effectively 100% of the area because it not only will cover the engine bulkhead, but the wheel arches and the floor as well. And this is part of our cab upgrade bundle. You get a box of 50 sheets of the aluminium sound deadening product. In fact, this new product is the Sound Deadening SE Special Edition with a slightly thicker aluminium, which is great for hard-wearing areas like your cab floor. But we also get 2 sheets of the 8mm Vanliner Pro, which will be covering the ceiling, and that will provide the insulation that you may have done across the whole roof of your camper van as well. So a complete package really, and whilst all this interior is out, now's the perfect time to do it. The tools you are going to need to carry out this job are as follows. To cut the mat, you are going to need a blade or a Stanley with lots of replacement blades, so we have a multi-pack here. Some scissors to get into the more detailed areas. A roller, which is perfect for getting into the nooks and crannies and making sure that the product has 100% adhesion across the panel. Something to kneel on, so you're comfortable whilst you're doing the job. A cutting mat, which is also another kneeling mat really. And then on colder days, such as today, you're going to need a heat gun, and we'll show you why later. We're going to start today with just using whole sheets. You can start with some of the more intricate areas first, but if this is your first time using the product, you really want to kind of map out where you might use a whole sheet first, and then get to the smaller, more intricate areas when you're using offcuts, because every one of these might just need a little bit cut off. You save those bits and use them for the more intricate areas like the wheel arches or down in some of the nooks and crannies. So to start off with then, I've got this nice square area here, and I can lay a whole sheet. I'm not going over this hole here because I know the side step needs that to slot into. And it's just one large area. We've got a rib here. And what you'll notice also is the existing sound deadening on the cab floor. I'm going to be going over that, and I have no problems going over that because anything you can add to the existing sound deadening that's already there is only going to make the place a little quieter. Before you start, do make sure the floor is completely clean, free from any dirt, free from any greases and any solvents. You may have seen from a previous video, we have actually steam cleaned this entire van because it was particularly disgusting. I'll leave a link down in the description to that video and or the whole 2K T5 playlist because it's a pretty good one. Like I said, using the heat gun on a colder day like today, you need to warm up this area. You need to warm up not only the product, but the area you're going to be sticking down to. Now, it's a very easy product. You peel and stick. And right now I'm just gonna heat up the adhesive back. You can already see that's becoming more pliable. Now I'm going to be heating up this area, and the bonus is you're actually sort of blowing away some of the dust if there's any left as well. So it's probably about 10 degrees today. Nothing too crazy, but we're trying to give this the best chance as possible to actually stick down and provide that coverage. And made the product actually worth putting on, because if it doesn't stick down properly, it won't be doing its job. Then it's just a case of lining it up where you want to stick it. I'm not going to stick it all down in one hit. I'm actually just going to very carefully lay it down. Using your fingers, thumbs, anything. And then you've got to make sure you go over these ribs and troughs properly as well. So before I bend it all the way over, actually get the roller. I might have to oil that, it's a bit squeaky. Start to see the shapes of the floor actually coming out. There you go. I now know I've got right into that little ridge there. Let's start working it over that floor. Pressing. And there we go. First piece down, one whole square, no cutting, no trimming, just put it on. It's a great place to start because I know I've got that straight edge and I'm just going to work my way kind of out from here. When it gets to a more tricky bit, we'll come back to it, show you how to cut it and shape it, but for now, let's try as many of the large square panels as possible. On areas such as this, for example, I'm still using a whole panel, but some of these ridges are quite deep. So I'm not only using the roller to get into all of these crevices and all these join lines, I'm actually using the back. And don't worry if you maybe make a split in the aluminium, the product, it's not going to affect the product, so to speak. And also don't be afraid of wrinkling the product. You've already warmed it up, or you may have already warmed it up, and if you notice here, I won't be able to lay that completely flat. There's going to be a wrinkle in it, but the product's designed for that, hence this hexagonal pattern, so it forms round shapes a bit easier. So as long as you can roll it flat as best as possible, you're going to get the full effect from the panel itself. So get the roller in there, maybe get the back of the handle in there, and you're getting that full 100% coverage that we're after. So another option or another method I've used for warming these up, especially on colder days, I actually just set myself up in the van, close all the doors, and then have like a 2 or 5 kilowatt little fan heater. You just put on the van floor, and then what I'll do, I'll get a few sheets out, lean them up against the box with the fan heater pointing on it. So not only is it warming up the whole area, but it's heating up the next panel as you go. So you don't have to sit here with a heat gun. I'd love to use that now, but it's currently upstairs in the office heating up the team, so I can't really nick the heater off them. Now we've laid out some of the big sheets in the areas that don't need any modification, we're into the more detailed areas, and it's nothing to be worried about. You've just got to do a little bit more prep work in particular. So what you've noticed here, I've actually lifted all of the wiring that's off the floor, and they're only held in by these little studs that are in the floor and these green clips, and all they do is sort of press down. But what I'm after is laying the sound deadening panels underneath it. So I'm going to clean the area, lay out roughly where my panel's going to be, and just sort of make a couple of indentations as to where I think I want to trim the panels. Grab my scissors, or your blade, whichever you want to do. In this case, the scissors are going to be quite easy. You don't have to be perfect. You can overlap, it's no big deal. But then I've got a decent sized piece. I've allowed for a little bit extra because I'm going up and over this hump here. And then I think I've just got to cut a bit out to go around that grounding stud there. And there we go. The grounding stud's nice and clear, but we've also got the studs we've got to go over. So peel the back. Give her a heat up. And I'm going to start from one edge, kind of making it in line. Again, you don't have to be exact, but then we've come across the first stud. I'm just going to press the panel over that, so when it comes to it, you can still put your wiring on top. So with that larger piece now down over the hump and over the studs, I know I've got enough room to clip these panels down if I need to. And all the panels will just lay over that, sorry, all the wiring will just lay over that really, really nicely. And then it's just a case of using your offcuts, really. And it's going to apply for the rest of it. This is the smaller, more detailed work, but it's the stuff that's going to give you that 100% coverage. And I guess it's just having patience, sticking with the job, and seeing if you can get as much coverage as possible. We're doing a little time lapse on this so you can kind of see how I progress, but in reality I've told you everything you need to know. You make a shape, or at least make a template, cut and trim round where you need to go, and that's about it. If there's any other points I've got moving forward, we'll stop and let you know, but in the meantime just enjoy what we're doing, and hopefully you will be incentivized to do the same thing, because it's actually really, really worth it, and you'll notice a difference straight away from the sound deadening difference and even the insulation in the roof, and we'll come to that in a minute. What you might have to consider when you're doing under the driver's seat, for example, is if you're going to be putting maybe a diesel heater or your leisure battery under there, some of your wiring might actually get routed up through the floor, because there's a huge access grommet here and another wiring grommet here. I've actually covered them up, and what I'll do, just very quickly, is cut that out, and before the adhesive on the floor sets too hard, or you know, it makes its permanent home there, I'm just going to slice that out, just so I know that that rubber grommet there is easily seen and easily accessible if I go and say install a heater down there, or need to run some leisure battery wiring or leisure electrics under there. So just a little point to note. As you can tell, it's getting towards the end of the day. We're losing a bit of light, however we're very, very nearly done. Across this back strip here, in between where the seats actually bolt to, there's an area you can sort of get away with putting whole sheets and then just cutting out some bits and pieces for the grommets and the studs and everything going through. I'm going to finish up now. I'll probably need 2 more sheets on this floor, but cut up into strips, and we'll just fill in the little gaps. I'm going to fill in about 2 where the ribs start in the floor, and then we'll put the final sheets on the roof and we'll call that done. And there we have it. My van now looks like a spaceship. No, in all seriousness, we have done the first stage of the huge sound deadening and insulation project that is going to be within this vehicle. Like I said before, we've got some really big plans for this vehicle, so we won't be doing all the sound deadening and insulation in one hit, because we've got to decide where we're going to put some things first. But as far as getting the van running, driving and comfortable on the road, this is it. We've got the 2mm sound deadening on the floor, 2mm sound deadening on the roof, and then the 8mm Vanliner Pro. So it's Hexmat and then the Vanliner Pro, and that is all available from our web shop. And this is known as the cab bundle or the cab upgrade bundle. There is enough product left in the box to do the doors. We're not doing the doors today, again, because we're going to be showing you some new products, and we're looking to put some hi-fi speaker parts in there as well, so I look forward to showing you that. And that'll include how to dismantle the inside of a door, because they're different in a T5. But before we wrap this up, I just wanted to say thank you once again to Dodo Mat. We've been supporters of theirs, they've been supporters of ours for a number of years now. We wouldn't sell their bits on our website unless we trusted them and knew how well they worked, and they've supported the project. They've provided everything that you see right now for this project, and they will be supporting us with all the other Dodo Mat products that will be within this van. So we'll be able to show them to you and show you how to fit them as well. So this is done for right now. The last thing for me to do before I start driving this is obviously put all the dash back together, cab mat down. We've got some new seats to put in, I'll show you them, and we're having the windscreen replaced as well because we might have found a little leak. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us once again. This is the cab upgrade sound deadening and insulation bundle. I'll leave a link down below to the product, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the 2K T5. We'll see you then. Bye bye.